Okay, welcome back to Pile of Mopars. I know it's been a couple weeks since the Penticton show, and not to keep making excuses, but it's just life gets busy and doing family stuff and camping and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, today I'll give you a little bit of overview and do a few little projects of stuff I want to get done here, and yeah, take you along. So in about a month, I guess, well, not quite, August 2nd, 3rd, 4th, we've got the Old Time Drags in Mission, BC, down in the Vancouver area. And I have to get this Barracuda ready to go. So I've got to put the race tires back on it. I ordered some new front tires from Summit. They should be here Wednesday. I ordered a new racing jacket, which I didn't have, which is required for anything below 1150. I ordered some gloves, and I also ordered some new seat belts because these just expired. You know, they're perfect shape, but of course they've got a date stamp on them, so I've got a new set of those coming to put in there. I was fixing the steering last night. I didn't film it. I wasn't thinking. There's an upper bearing here on the main shaft. It had popped out, so the steering wheel had a looseness to it, a rattle. So I used a little piece from a parts column to screw in there and hold the bearing in, and this will hold it all, tight. And then here is a single plane intake manifold I want to put on here. I got the car, well, the way it's configured now is how I got the car, and it's got a dual plane Edelbrock RPM on it, which is a great intake, but it's meant for some low-end torque as well. And of course this Barracuda's got a 4,000 stall converter in it, so there's no point in having anything to make power below 4,000 RPM. So I'm going to try it with this single plane. This is just one I've had around. I purchased it, but it was just, part of a deal. I just got it. Anyway, I'm going to put that on here. I've got to adjust the timing on the engine. It was set at 28 or 29 degrees. I was talking with the previous owner, but of course that's just not enough. That's pretty conservative. So it should be around 36 or so. So I'm going to do that and hopefully get a little bit better times. You see the time on the window, 11:09 is the best I believe I did last year. Mission is quite low. It's almost virtually sea level, so it's good for making good times. Anyway, so between the intake and that, I hope to get it into the 10s, the high 10s here. And then for next season, I have a pair of Edelbrock Victor 440s, and they're the max wedge port. So I'll have to get a intake to match, and I think that's going to drop me down probably 3-4 tenths for sure. But for this year, I'm just running out of time as is usual. Everything's last minute. So that's what's going on with this. Here's the heart of the beast. It's just I believe it's 30 over 440. It's not a stroke or anything. It's got RPM heads on it, and like I mentioned, the dual plane RPM intake, and an 830 CFM double pumper Holly. This combination works great. There's no hesitation, no bog, no nothing. It just goes. But I just think there's some room for improvements here and there, and so we'll switch this out, which is really easy on a big block Mopar. There's no water coolant or anything to drain. It's just, and of course everything's wide open. So we're going to switch that around. I've got the coolant drained for the winter because this car has to spend its life outside because there's just no more room in the shop. It didn't make the cut for that. And then I'll show you. So the last year, other videos you'll see I have skinny race tires up front. I found them to be too small a diameter, so this fills up the wheel well better. So I matched this diameter, but of course there'll be skinny drag tires up front. And I'll use the old wheels that we're on. I'd still like to match up the front wheels to the back ones. I have Krager Super Tricks on the back, and I like the offset and the way they look. So I'd like to find some skinny Super Tricks for the front to match, but for now I'll just use what came on the car. They're just a newer version, center line, and they're extremely light. Of course, the tires are light too. So that's in the works here. So I've got to do that, and then I've got to do some work on the open car trailer, and I also have to get Hazel, the camper van, ready for tow duty, because we'll be taking that down, me and probably my buddy Ken, same as last year, and we'll camp right at the track. So it'll be 3 days of racing fun surrounded by vintage race cars and street cars, so that should be a good time. Another thing on today's agenda is I got a couple items off this parts truck I bought with the crew cab project, so I'm going to be selling this. So there's a couple items I want to switch out. I'm going to probably take that off of there. The last seller was trying out the dually wheels on the axle, and so I've got to switch it back to the non-dually without the spacers, etc. Because these wheels, I got a set of these wheels with it. They'll go on my 2010 black Ram. Anyway, so I got to switch that out, and then it's also got a nice brand new starter in it. So I'll switch that out with the one that's on the crew cab now, which is a Reman, but I think it's a little older. So I'll switch those out. And then the other thing is, all of a sudden it stopped wanting to start. Now, I'm thinking maybe I ran out of fuel. I'm gonna have to bleed the fuel lines, but we'll see. It's gonna be hard to sell a truck that doesn't run, but hope to get onto these things today and get things going, get this advertised and gone. So regarding this ram's head, I don't really need it, of course. I've got one or two already, but they always seem to get ripped off, or they used to anyway. I don't know if the kids care anymore nowadays, but I just thought, well, it's not going to make any difference on the price of this parts truck. It's pretty rusty cab, so unless somebody switches the cab out, it's most likely just going to be parts, so whatever. But I'll take this off. Oh, I thought that was loose. Well, she's wiggling around. She's almost off. There we go. One's ram's head. It's actually not in bad shape. The ears are starting to peel, but this is, some of these were metal and some are plastic. This one seems plastic, but step one. Okay, onto the starter next. This is the prize I'm after, brand new diesel starter. So I'll figure out what bolt's on there and get busy. So one thing I recommend keeping around when you're working outside and stuff is an empty antifreeze oil jug. They make a good pillow, especially if you got a big block of a head, as my wife would say. She thinks she's so funny. I can hear her in the background laughing. You want to be on tape?
I didn't realize you were taping.
So it's a 10 mil 12-point bolt on this starter. Luckily it wasn't too tight, and I think they didn't put this back one in just because, you know, it was hard to get at. But do you think I could find a 12-point 10 mil socket? I could find a 9, I could find 11, or I could find a 6-point, all over the place, but the one I need. So I'm going to use a ratcheting wrench and see if that'll get me through. So, as Murphy's Law would have it, right here, they got a little Phillips head screw to hold this wire on, and I think that's the only thing on this whole starter installation that was tight. Of course, it wants to strip off, and there's nothing you can do except, you know, drill it out, but I'm just going to snip her off here and put a new end on and throw the other starter in, because this is Murphy's Law at its finest. Here's the prize I was after, brand new starter. And it says Dixie Electric on it. And I thought, well, I've never heard of that. It's probably just your typical Chinese brand. But it says made in Canada here. It's very rare to have anything made in Canada or made in the States. And quite likely it's just Chinese components and assembled in Canada or something. But it's going to be better than the one that I'm switching out. So it's still a win. Well, I just had a good idea. Instead of pulling the other start out of the other truck, the crew cab, I've got this from my 89 Cummins project, and it's just an old Chrysler original starter. I just bench tested it. It works, so I'm going to stick this in the parts truck to save a bunch of time. Well, it looks like I kind of screwed myself. I put in a bad starter. I must have been keeping it around as a core or something, but I noticed on here hammer marks, and that should have been my first clue, but at least it's not too hard to get at or too hard to do. But now I got to pull it out and put a different one in. That's the way it goes. Well, this whole thing's been a disaster from the get-go. I put the second starter in and it didn't work either. So back to square one, pulling this out of the crew cab sitting right beside me, and it's a reman anyway. Only to put it in this truck for the third time. Hopefully it works. Just grab a new starter out of the deal. I've probably been at this an hour and a half already. Sometimes I wonder why I do things. Anyway, live and learn. You hope. Well, after probably almost 2 hours of messing around, we got this thing to start. So the last starter I took out of the crew cab, which is what I should have done in the first place. You know, I grabbed two from the pile thinking I could use them up, but they both had issues, so off to the scrap pile they went. So anyway, I finally got that one out. That had all 3 bolts in the starter, and of course there's one on the back side, and it was really hard to get at. I was probably a half an hour just getting that one bolt out because I could not find a 12-point 10 mil socket. But anyway, that's all done. I stuck it in here, and of course it still wouldn't start. And what I suspected was that it ran low on fuel and sucked some air, because we put some fuel in it, and then I loosened each injector off one at a time and cranked it till it spurted fuel out. And by the time I got to number 5, it started. So I just cinched them all up, and she's good to go that way. So that's all done. Next will be to grab this wheel off and the adapter, the dually adapter, and put the stock wheel back on. And then this truck is good to go. So the previous owner was fitting this axle up to convert the crew cab to 4-wheel drive. So he put the dually adapters on and stuff, but I'm keeping it 2-wheel drive, so we don't need those. So I should just slide right off. There we go. Put the wheel on, good to go. Well, so far I gotta say this truck's been fighting me. The extra wheel that came in the back of it, the sidewall of the tire, I mean it's an old crusty tire, is done. So I had to go into my kid's stash in the backyard. He hoards square body 3/4 ton Chevys. So found an old wheel, holds air, good enough. So it's time to show a little love to this thing. My buddy Ken was here a couple weeks ago, pick up a car, and I'm not sure if you remember, but these were quite dented in on both sides. He pounded them out, so they're 95% anyway. They're really nice, so definitely much more presentable. This side as well, so it's awesome. Big improvement for the truck. Yeah, you can see the scrapes here, but this was all pushed in, so it's really nice now. And then I removed the grill. Buddy Jerry's got one hanging on his garage wall. He said he would have no problem giving up. So I'll probably respray the black on the rat support and then put his grill in. I don't remember looking at it too closely, but I'm sure it's better than mine. Mine was pretty mashed. Yeah, you can see mine here, both ends, and a bit in the middle. So we'll switch that out. And then I'm about to vacuum this thing out. It is so bad inside from the mouse stink that you can't, it's not even bearable. So I'm going to put a respirator on and dig in and clean it up so it's at least bearable anyway. Well, I've got to say, this first half was absolutely nasty. Tons and tons of stuffing came out from behind here and just littered down. But it's gone now. I'm probably going to pull the seat out and get over to the other side and pull that carpet out. But look at these floors. It's shiny like brand new, you know, like it was just restored or just built. It's not even speck of rust. So I'll gut the interior as far as the flooring and the seat goes and clean it all up and probably order another carpet. But a neat thing I found under the passenger side, under the carpet, was this. It's an old water cup or an old coffee cup from, I'm sure, from the factory floor when it was being built. He finished his drink and just threw it under the carpet, and I found it 50 years later. Isn't that something? I've never seen one like that before. And another thing, a buddy of mine, Ken, was here. He said this definitely is a replacement seat, and I kind of figured that because it sits so high, it doesn't make sense. But what he did say was this was factory brackets for the stock bucket seat console configuration. So by the looks of it, this truck, being a cabin chassis, Adventure SE, came factory with buckets console. Similar, or I guess identical to what a Little Red would have, Little Red Express truck. Amazing to think with such a workhorse, it would have a seat like that, but that is so cool. A friend of mine, Lauren, says he has one down in Washington State, so I might have a look at that and see if he's interested in selling it. That would be a perfect home for it right in here. I'm under the truck. I'm just going to give it the seat bolts a spray with WD-40, but I just wanted to give you a little shot underneath here of how clean it is. I mean, look at those floors. And all the mounts and everything. It's an amazing truck. I mean, there is rust on each fender right there, and that's usually from debris falling on the inside, but it is just spotless everywhere else, which is pretty neat. The driver's side seat bolts came out, no problem. So I'm on the passenger side and thought I'd give you a shot of this. Yeah, it's just so clean. Awesome to see. It's not something you normally see in British Columbia or Canada for that matter. Oh, I just noticed something. Look at all the drip marks on this cross member. So you can see which way it was dipped and then left to dry, and obviously it dripped, it was sitting on edge. These little details are kind of neat. My son Tyler is over doing some stuff, so I took advantage of having the extra muscle and had him help me lift out the seat. No surprises or no treasures yet, except yet nasty mouse poop. Well, the inside has all been hosed and scrubbed. Little bits of remnants of water puddling here and there, but does not smell like mice anymore. It was pretty nasty. I scrubbed it with a bucket of hot water and soap and then rinsed it off with the hose in the lower sections. But I think I'm going to take out this heater box while the seat is out and there's no carpet and stuff. I'm just going to unbolt that and clean that out because I guarantee you there's some mouse nest debris in there. So other than that, and then the rest of the top side, I'll give it a scrub with a bucket of water and soap again, the gauges and the dash and all that. But look at those floors, hey? Not a spot of rust on them. So I think I'll get a new carpet for it. And I'd like to try and get the original buckets console for it. But in the meantime, I do need a seat. There's one on Marketplace that's a gray charcoal vinyl out of a Dodge truck. Pretty cheap and it's in really good shape. So I might just grab that and stick that in here. And at least the truck is, drivable. The other one put my head through the windshield. Here is the stock. This is the seat that was in there. It was mounted to this. And if you look here, you can see right here, and then on the edge, that's where the buckets were mounted to. Yeah, they had screwed that other seat through there, but this is the factory bracket for the buckets console. So I think it'd be pretty cool to have that back in there at some point, and new carpet, and maybe make it a ramp truck. I think it'd be cool having one of the yellow Cudas in the back of this. And this would just be clean it up and wax it sort of thing. Maybe get the BS Farm off there if I can figure out how to do it. And then, yeah, just another toy. I'm going to need some wheels for it. These are 16-inch, but they're split ring. And I know a lot of the tire stores don't want to deal with that. So I'll find some newer dually wheels, get some decent tires on there, and either try and straighten that bumper or find another one. I do have a couple, but that are nice and straight, but they're more the 80s style. I'd like to get one of the earlier ones. So, well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. It was a smoker today, or a roaster today. It was pretty warm, but I didn't get to the Barracuda. I was hoping to switch out that intake. I did look through my gaskets, found a new tin valley pan, so that should go pretty quick. So maybe I'll do that tomorrow night or something. I do need to get going on that because time's running out. It's just over 3 weeks, and I got a lot to do on that to get it ready for racing. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.